guys, this is Julie at Julie's Orchids, and today we're on an outing, and as you can see, we've gone bush. So we're looking for Western Australian native orchids, and we're in the Toolbrunups. And in this area, in 2019, there was a very large fire. So you'll see a lot of burned things around me, but there's also been a lot of rain this spring. So it's going to be good for the vegetation. And I'm going to flop the screen around so we can have a look at all the burn and the regrowth that's already happening. Here we have what I believe is the giant donkey orchid. This is not commonly seen, and we're quite lucky to stumble upon it today. Its flowering period is from September through early November. The flower lengths are 40 to 60 millimeters, and the width is 35 to 45 millimeters. The giant donkey orchid is the largest of all the Western Australian donkey orchids, and it can be found in scattered colonies between the Toolbrunup range and Capel. Habitat is usually Wandoo woodlands and Jarrah Mari forests. Here we have the very common cowslip orchid. The flowering time is July through August, and the tiny flowers are 20 to 50 millimeters in length and 20 to 40 millimeters in width. It is widespread throughout the southwest of Western Australia between Geraldton and Israelite Bay, and can be found in a variety of habitats ranging from coastal woodlands, winter wet swamps, and forest areas, and even into inland granite outcrops. It can be found in colonies of up to hundreds of individual plants, and each one, depending by area, will have slightly different yellow and red markings. This is the tall snail orchid. It was first named by John Linley in 1840. It is the tallest of the snail orchids. It flowers from late August through October with one or rarely two flowers. The lengths of the flowers are 20 to 30 millimeters, and the width is only 8 millimeters. The total plant can get up to 400 millimeters in height. It forms large colonies, sometimes with hundreds of plants, in wet, peaty soils on the margins of swamps, and it is not unusual to find many plants standing in shallow waters. You can find it from Perth to Walpole area in Western Australia. This is the cupped banded greenhood. It flowers from June through August and has between 2 and 10 flowers. The flower lengths are between 15 and 25 millimeters and in width 12 to 18. It is distinguished by its cupped, fleshy lateral sepals, which hide the labellum when the flower is viewed from the side. This orchid is not common, although it's most abundant between Boyup Brook and the Toolbrunups. It has been found west of Waroona on the Swan coastal plains, and it appears to favor moist, sheltered situations, but displays little preference for soil types. This is the Silky blue orchid. It was first described in 1840 by John Linley as a Caladinia and suffered a name change in 2000 when it was placed into the new genus Cyanicula by Stephen Hopper and Andrew Brown. Flowering time is August through October, and each flower stem can have between 1 and 4 flowers. Flower lengths are between 30 and 50 millimeters, and width is 30 to 40. These favor gravelly soils in Jarrah Forest and along coastal Banksia areas. They are characterized by smooth petals and sepals that are all of similar size and shape. So that was a look at some of the native Western Australian orchids you can find growing around the Toolbrunups. So we took a small holiday and went down to the Stirling Ranges in Western Australia, which is about a 4 to 5 hour drive from where I live here in Perth. And we went down there strictly for 2 reasons. One for me to hunt orchids, and the other for my husband and daughter to do some hiking through the trails. Now, on today's episode, we were at Toolbrunup Peak, and a lot of the orchids, as you can see, were just right there off the path as you're walking up towards the peak. And after a certain point in time, you quit seeing them because it was too high in elevation for them to grow. I would like to give a special shout out to Bob Littleow, whose book here is what we used to find most of the orchids, as far as it involves a lot of good mud maps and things of that nature, so you can look for them. And then we cross-referenced and tried to confirm, hopefully, our identification of some of these with the backup of this book here. I highly suggest both of these books. Now, in this video, as I am a complete and total orchid amateur, particularly when it comes to hunting them in the wild, my IDs may or may not be on target. So if you're seeing this video and notice an error in my ID of some of these native Western Australian orchids, please send me a comment down below. Do stay tuned, because we also visited Mount Trio and Mount Barker in the Stirling Ranges, and there are different orchids in those different areas. I have another outing video lined up looking at all spider orchids that we can see mostly around the Mount Barker area, a little bit into Mount Trio. And then in Mount Trio we have a couple of exciting orchids such as the rabbit orchid and the zebra orchid. So again, Western Australian orchids, it is not legal to dig them up. You can go look at them, go photograph them and enjoy them in nature. But if you dig them up and try to bring them home, chances that they'll survive or thrive in your home conditions are slim to none, as these are very specialized orchids and they do grow in sort of a symbiotic relationship with a lot of the bacteria and fungi that are found naturally in the soils out in the bush, which you do not find naturally here. As well, some of them are very rare and hard to find, and if we dig them up in cultivation, then they're not allowed to naturally propagate and we may possibly lose them. So keep tuned for other episodes, one with spider orchids and the other one in another area of the Stirling Ranges where we looked at a variety of orchids. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscription would be nice. And with that, thank you very much. You guys have a lovely, wonderful day. Cheers!